What's up, YouTube? It's the Action Figure Grader coming back to you with my weekly vintage collection market update. And what I'm seeing in the market are increases in prices. And I'm going to talk about that for some other videos that I have coming up. But in general, whether it's comic books or Star Wars collectibles, prices are up. The Hakes auctions that have not ended yet are up. Some of the stuff I was bidding on has already blown past the numbers that I was hoping to bid on. And so I don't know whether that is a sign that people have more disposable income, whether they feel the worst is behind us for not only the economy, but with prices of collectibles. But in general, a lot of the stuff I'm going to show you, the prices are up versus even last week. And I want to say thank you to Excuse Me SG. He gave me a super for one of my videos last week. So thank you very much for the channel support from all of you that have sent supers for the videos that you like. It really means a lot to me. And as you can see by this thumbnail, a rare Boba Fett first shot prototype sold for a bargain of a price. And I think it's legit. I wish I had seen it because I would have instantly bought it. There's no doubt about that. A couple of other high-end items sold, the mouse droid and the Salacious Crumb. So let's go ahead and dig in because I think you'll be a little bit surprised by some of these prices. Now, admittedly, a lot of these are buy it now situations. I didn't just see it. I just couldn't find a lot of auction data for the last week or so that were anything other than very common items. But even stuff that is fairly common and fairly easy to find, I feel like the buy it now prices were a little bit up. And maybe it's currency conversion. Maybe it's just a sign that the market is starting to kind of come off the bottom. And I have definitely seen that in the comic book market. I've got a video coming. I don't know. I think it comes out as of the making of this video before this one airs. So it might have been actually the video I've got scheduled for this coming Wednesday. This is my vintage collection market update for Thursday. So if you watch that comic book market update for Comic Link and some of the recent sales prices in there, I mean, I was outbid and I was bidding hard, really hard. I was bidding on some books 20, 30, 40% above the Go Collect fair market value, and I was still losing. So I don't know if that's a good sign for the rest of the year, but this seller had a number of foil Ultimate Galactic Hunt versions for the early TVC, and they all sold for very aggressive prices. This was the Luke Skywalker Bespin, really good shape for that foil card back. That sold for 110 pounds, which is 142 US dollars. That's a big number. Han Solo Echo Base. This is one that routinely does not sell for more than 50 or 60 bucks. This one sold for 120 pounds, which is 155 US dollars. I mean, that's easily double, if not triple, what you can find this one for sometimes. So that's a surprising price. The foil Clone Trooper VC15. This one sold for 100 pounds, which is 129 US dollars, a very healthy number, which, you know, I've seen other data points that support that number, but that's towards the upper end. And then finally, the Magna Guard that this seller had, the foil VC18 Magna Guard, that one sold for 150 pounds, which is 193 US dollars. So again, I don't know whether this is just a one-time thing, but a lot of these prices for these foil card backs, Ultimate Galactic Hunts, were selling for very strong prices. Next up was a VC09 Revenge of the Jedi Boba Fett. So this is the offerless version that came in the SDCC box set. And that one sold for 160 pounds, which is 206 US dollars. I found two other data points right around that $200 number. So that's kind of in line with market. Here is the very rare prototype that sold. It must have been instantly bought because I did not see it hit the market. Otherwise, I would not have sent this out to my Patreon supporters. I would have bought it myself. This is a really cool VC186. So this is the Return of the Jedi version of Boba Fett, but a first shot paint sample. And so let's go through the item description from the seller. This figure is awesome and has several paint differences versus the final production figure. Early paint sample produced to make sure everything is running smoothly. The paint scheme is slightly different, using different shades of green paint. Also, the backpack has never been glued on. The Wookiee braids either. There is no printed made on date on the back of the figure's leg, which makes me think that this is a legit paint sample prototype, early example, since they don't have the made on date, you know, the date stamps on the back of the leg. Very rare prototype. So, first time I've seen one of these VC186 prototype paint samples, and it was listed for 230 Canadian, which is 170 US dollars, an absolute bargain. I would have paid that in a heartbeat for that figure. Congrats whoever got it. I did not see it pop up, but really awesome paint sample prototype for VC186 Boba Fett. And again, that sold for 171 US dollars. Here is another SDC. No, I'm sorry. This is a retail release because it's got the prototype Fett offer sticker. So this is an unpunched Revenge of the Jedi Darth Vader VC08, the retail release with the paperwork inside the blister and the offer sticker. That one sold for 150 pounds, which is 193 US dollars. Again, another price that's very aggressive and maybe a little bit higher than where you see usually. I've got some other examples, and these are not in great shape. I mean, this one has obvious edge wear, and it's a punched example of VC34 Jango Fett. So you can see the edge wear all around the card, and it's punched, and it sold for 150 pounds, which is 193 US dollars. So that is a big number and higher than where I see Jango Fett usually sell for over here in the States. Punched examples, probably 150, maybe 175 at most. And this one had some very obvious edge wear to it. So shocking sales price on that one. Here was a Bastilla Sean that also sold for big money up in Canada. This one was a punched example, and this one had a big, scuff. And it was admittedly the Canadian version of Bastilla Sean. So you can see it's the multi-language, and it's got the multi-language age in the upper left-hand corner. So harder to find the Canadian examples. As I've talked about in past videos, for every 10 U.S. examples, only one Canadian example is known to have been manufactured. So very desirable, but this one was by no means in mint condition. And it still sold for 183 Canadian dollars, which is 136 U.S. dollars. Grand Moff Tarkin, he's kind of steadily in a pretty tight price range right now. I've seen higher prices, but lately, here are two examples that sold. This was an unpunched U.S. card that sold for $95 plus $9 shipping. And then this is one I send out to my Patreons. This is an unpunched VC98 U.S. card that did sell for $109 US dollars plus $6 shipping. And I found some other data points as high as $175 for Grand Moff Tarkin VC98. So try to aim for that $100 to $125 range, but I did find several recent sales for this figure as high as $175. Next up was an unpunched Star Killer. This one had the Darth Maul offer sticker, VC100. This one sold in the UK for 74 pounds, which is $95. That's pretty low, really. I've seen them sell $100 to $110 here recently. This one wasn't perfect. It had a little card wave and some edge wear to it, so that probably kept the price down a little bit. So again, when possible, aim for the auctions. This was an auction, and what I found is that there just hasn't been many auctions, at least based on my searches, that have sold recently for some of these more desirable TVC 1.0 or original issue figures. So again, that one sold for 74 pounds or $95. Here was an original issue Ahsoka, unpunched, beautiful example. It was advertised as case fresh, straight card back, no edge wear at all on this one. Beautiful example. And that one sold for $300. So, we've seen as low as $150 to $175. So again, maybe this is another example that TVC 1.0 especially are starting to see a bounce up in prices. So, I talked about this in other videos. Bitcoin has blown through the roof. And I don't buy Bitcoin, but, just since the start of the year, it's gone from like a low $50,000 per Bitcoin to like now $70,000. There's rumors it might hit $100,000 or doubling in price. And I do feel like people that invest, quote unquote, in collectibles are the type of people that are willing to take the risk on what I call the Russian roulette of what is cryptocurrency. I don't touch it with my main investments. I just don't trust it. I don't understand it. I don't see the application for it. But there are people that do. I talk to them all the time, and they're just like, hey, I'm rolling in money. Well, I just remember when it dropped through the floor, and it went through it dropped like 60% in value. There's so much corruption. It's an unregulated market. At least from what I can tell. I mean, I know that there's been some exchange traded funds for that stuff that's come out lately on Wall Street, so you don't have to invest directly in Bitcoin. You can invest in exchange traded funds for it, and that trade just like other stocks. But to me, I don't understand it, and it has gone up like crazy over the last 2 or 3 months. So maybe that's what's going on. I don't know. Stock markets are also up, but I'm trying to figure out why collectibles seem to be bouncing, comic books as well as action figures. But there's definitely some data here, at least with the vintage collection, that supports that. Here was an unpunched Lumat. I mean, I've seen some sales prices in the 100 to 125 range. This one sold for 164. This seller had 2 of them, and they both sold for $164 free shipping, which is well up. The Sand Trooper, this one had a crease in the upper left-hand. No, I'm sorry, that may not be a crease. That might just be lighting on it, but it does look questionable, right? But it still sold for $150 for the VC112 Dirty Paint Apps Sand Trooper. So, that number is up a little bit. I mean, that's not terrible. I've seen some data points that are kind of around this price point, 125 to as high as 175. So this one was kind of right in the middle there for what this one's been selling for lately. The Imperial Assault Tank Commander, this one sold over in the UK for 95 pounds, which is 122 US dollars. That's a big number there. That one kind of jumped really high, and then it's been kind of steadily coming back down. And I would argue that price is probably up a little bit relative to some recent sales. And then I've got a few graded examples before we dig into the Mouse Droid and Salacious Crumb. Big numbers on those. This was a loose graded HasLab Razor Crest version of the Mandalorian. It was graded CAS 90. So this is the soft goods cape with the rips in it, and a really nice display that CAS puts together. I think I sent this out as a item in a what to buy on eBay video, and it sold for big money, $220.50. Really great display though. So, if you wanted to get something like that, that's a really nice custom display from CAS, $220.50 on that one. And then I've got some other ones that did sell in an auction, and these were steals. I mean, this is a good example of try to avoid the buy it nows that I've already kind of shown in this video. This was an uncirculated 9.0 gold level AFA Han Solo Endor. So again, a fairly recent release, but it sold for $42 plus $10 shipping. So $52. I mean, you can't even grade it for that price. It costs more to grade it for that. So that was a really good deal. Same seller had Cassian Andor, and that was a really nice looking example there. That one was an AFA 9.0. That sold for $67 plus $10 shipping. So good deals on those. And then the Muffin Man had a uncirculated 90 grade Death Watch Mandalorian VC219. That one sold for 75 pounds, which is $96 and change plus shipping. So that's a really nice example. Uncirculated designation as well. And then this was a big number. This was the Death Star 2 version of Darth Vader in an uncirculated 9.0. Again, a gold level. Really awesome archival grading case as well. That one sold for $180. So to me, this is my favorite from 2023. I just think it's such an incredible card back and very desirable, and $180. I mean, that's a big number, and certainly profitable for whoever just sent that one in, because these are $15 or $20 card backs. But it is, probably $55 to $75 to grade this after shipping to and from AFA. So there's still some profit there, and clearly somebody's still willing to pay a big number for that one. And to me, it's a beauty. That's just such an awesome, awesome card back. And this is a very trusted seller, by the way. He's a Patreon supporter, and he didn't kind of encourage me to show this one. I'm just showing it because he's a very trusted seller. I've gotten to know him very well. So if you see Disruptor on eBay, you can trust that you're going to get that item in mint condition. So congratulations on the sale on that one. And then here are the 2 SDCC grails. This is the Salacious Crumb, and it did have some edgeware to it. It still sold for $900 in a buy it now situation. And then here is the Mouse Droid. This one sold for $900. It was a beautiful example. It did have some edgeware at the bottom there. Very slight, but, again, these were not perfect cards, and they still sold for big money. We just documented last week an AFA 9.0 Salacious Crumb that sold for $800, and this one is ungraded and sold for $900. So whoever bought that $800 AFA 9.0 example, that was a really good deal relative to what this one, which was not in perfect condition, ungraded, and still sold for $100 more. So I don't know. Maybe it's just me. Let me know in the comments below while you're leaving me a like whether you agree or disagree that you're starting to see maybe a little bit of life in some of these prices, especially for TVC 1.0. It does seem to me like maybe there's a little bit of life. We're getting a little bit of momentum for prices for some of these early TVC 1.0 and some of the more desirable grail type items. So let me know in the comments. Thank you as always for watching. Thank you for the channel support from my Patreons, as well as those of you who have sent supers lately, and I'll be back soon.